This is almost certainly worn by a woman to cover their behind, because the male will have a slightly different attachment for the genitalia. They said, no, it's not worn by a warrior. No. So, but it's made out of cheetah skin. And so the provenance of that is amazing. And what used to happen is district commissioners used to take these artifacts and sell them to the museums for a profit and give them sometimes a false story to enhance the value of what they were selling. So there's all sorts of nonsense goes on behind even the provenance of these. Earrings that were described by an MP as distinguishing, he could distinguish between what were the earrings worn by a woman and worn by a man. And again, with all the history and all the PhDs, these people couldn't tell you. They just didn't know. Well, they have to come to Kenya or Tanzania to find out from yourselves. And then upstairs, there were the Benin bronzes, and I'm just pausing right towards the end, where I didn't capture them because they were kids, but there's a group of school children, diverse group of school children, which represented what the UK looks like, London looks like now. It looks very much like this, actually. Actually, which is really interesting. I think that's really great. Just go and take their place. So, the kids were delighted to see the Benin bronzes because they're in the national curriculum now. And so for me, I think just closing on my little presentation, it's given me an enthusiasm for this subject. So 3 things. 1, we are hopefully going to go back to the UK as a group with diaspora people, representing the Somali government, the Federal Republic of Somalia, with their permission to look at some of these artifacts. With the colonial museums that are in the UK, which are run by people of African descent, to digitalize these and display them to our people before they come home. And then once we've done our various bits of research, we will then have a list of what we ask for. And we will not be taking no for an answer. They will be coming home. And so it is a question of when, not if. And that, I think, I would like to leave that part of my story. And any other questions, I'll be happy to answer. Let you hand over to the real expert, to my right.
Thank you, Peter. You have reasoned some of the very important points on your presentation. Some of them are being clarifying. You have been doing some of the researches, provenances, going into the community and asking the meaning, the interpretation of some of the objects. So I'll begin by saying that Tanzania has got more than 120 ethnic groups. We all know that. And each ethnic group has got its own culture. And our culture are symbolized by the objects. Our norms, our customs are embedded. They can well be illustrated on the objects than words. So if you go around, sometimes you may not know the people unless you know how they dress, how they eat, which objects are used for food, for rituals, for prayers, for whatever. So our culture you can understand our culture through the objects. And our colonizers knew that because the African religion is part and parcel of our culture. If you go to Rome, you will see how the Romans are doing, but of course some of the Romans have also stolen some of the issues, some of the cultures from Africa, and they took them and to Vatican and formalized them to be Christian kind of. So our colonists knew how Africans were very powerful. So it was not very easy to colonize Africa. Let me say the Africa, because of our religion, on how we pray, on how we connect ourselves with our ancestors. And we do this through, in some occasions, through objects. If we go to somewhere to go and pray, on a tree, on a cave, on our community, within the families, of course, objects play a very big part. So it was not easy for these guys to colonize unless they make sure they dismantle our culture, they took our objects, so that we are powerless, and then they can colonize us very easily. If you visit some of the communities in Tanzania, for example, I'll give you an example, a few examples in the coast part. There were a very huge war against the Germans, which is called Maji. And it was started by propaganda of one of the traditional era called Kwenye. And it was mixing water and some of the leaves and encouraging the people to go to the war that will never be shot by the white man, this whatever. So these guys, they briefed and they fought each from one group to another group until to Sogea. You can imagine from Kiwa to Maenge to Morogoro until to the southern part, which is Sogea. But by the way, these guys, when they won, they killed some of the chiefs and the other people. They took objects. So some of the objects were taken because some other people were killed. Some of the people killed themselves before they could be caught by the Germans or by the British. If you take an example from Kwao, fought most of the generals, the Germans, I don't remember the number, but several generals of the Germans were killed. The commandos were killed by Kwao himself. And we are told he had a music instrument. He used it to dance, to song and dance after he has killed some of the people. And at the end of the day, he was caught. Before he could be caught, he killed himself so that he cannot be on the hands of the Germans. You have learned the history. And when he killed himself, they quickly went to his palace and took some of the objects. And one of the objects, which is in German, is the wreath. If I could have the screen, I could have shown. So we have been doing the research, and last December we had a meeting with the descendant chiefs, and they were saying that they have been receiving several information from the spirits that this object really have to come back. They have to come back, unless the hair, the whole community of the hair will never be stable. You know? So this is, I was emphasizing that these guys, they knew that unless we colonize them culturally, we took their objects. And by the way, there was an ordinance which was passed by the Germans to make sure no one is supposed to do the ritual. Which means you don't have to do your prayers. Because in the African context, rituals is a prayer. This is what, even the church also, they do the rituals. They do the rituals. Although they are formalized the rituals, but we Africans, we as communities, one day before the Muslim was celebrating the Eid, which is sacrifice. So we Africans, we normally meet, set a clan or a family, you meet, you pray, you ask for something, and you are given. So these guys, they know we want to rule these guys unless we cut off the relations with their cultures. So I was saying, So I'm saying we have many objects that were taken during colonial time. In December also we met one of the descendants of Sultan, of the female Sultan, or female chief from Iramba. The Germans were looking for him because he was fighting with the Germans. He killed, brought of the Germans. So what they did is to send some people to go around him and look at what time you will not be on the chair, on the powerful chair she normally sits. And people went around and said, oh no, he's not in a time where he can sit on the chair and do some ruling. So they killed him and they took the chair. And this chair is, they say, is still very powerful. And after the chair was taken, this family, this clan is powerless. And what we learned from Kwao's memories and from this female chief from Iramba and Singida is that even the calamities we are seeing, every rains, every drought, sometimes they were saying we have seen the elephant moving into into town, in town, like the elephants. Why? It's because we are not praying to our God. We are not connected to our descendants. So we are facing a lot of calamities, every rains, every drought, famine, fighting each other, all of this, because we don't pray anymore. Only our natural. I normally say God was not for to create ourselves as Africans in the area where we are. It says you will live here by the river, and you will get your food from the fish, from the vegetables, anthropologists. Several, we have tried our level best with the Germans. I mentioned one of the philological museum, which is in Berlin, which has got more than 10,000 objects. We started with what they call Umbutla, by taking a few objects and bringing them to Tanzania. Not the real objects, the photographs of the objects, to go to the communities and try to ask them. There are some objects. There is one object called a drum, a great drum, Ngomaku, which was an object of the family of the clan which belonged to Bagamoyo. This is an important drum that every year they used to come together, eat together, beat the drum, dance. It's like doing the rituals and doing the sacrifice, asking God, connecting yourself with the ancestors, and then you enlist all the energies to be able to go through another year. So these guys, they killed the chief from Winde, Bagamoyo, and they took the great drum. Can you imagine? It's very. And these guys, they are powerful. They are no longer powerful. They are no longer powerful. So they will fight each other. There are a lot of calamities. Some of the people will be sick, will get sick, because they don't get together and pray together. So I have a lot to say, maybe I minimize. So we started studying some of the objects, and the approach we have used now is to ask the Germans to mount the exhibition of some of the objects from the Ethnological Museum of Berlin. They will be mounted in what they call Umbut Fora. And some of the countries were not smart enough to negotiate, because their exhibition will be permanent, but the Tanzanian exhibition will be temporary. Meaning what? We exhibit